The market made new all-time highs yesterday. I'm trying to see if we can break past that 635 all the way up to that 637.5 and honestly just look bullish overall. With that being said, we have a lot to talk about. We got some trade deals that's bringing up the market. We have earnings, Tesla, Google beat, Tesla didn't beat. We're going to be talking more about that a little bit later. And we're going to give you guys some plays later on and potentially talking about some meme stocks, but we're going to have a video coming out after market close, more on meme stocks overall. But with that being said, man, we have a lot of news to talk about. So let's get started. So first off, Japan and the US, we have an insane deal, 15% tariff, and Japan is going to invest $5.5 billion into the US, and the US gets to keep 90% of the profits with that investment, which is kind of insane. And this is a big deal. We got this, I think, before market opened, like pre-market hours, and this brought the market up overall and bringing a lot of stocks up. With that being said, we also seen Japan to buy 100 Boeing planes, and it's going to boost rice imports. As you guys know, they weren't buying our rice before with the tariff stuff like that, and then now they're buying our rice. And then honestly, we got that classic Boeing deal, buying more planes. We have this with a lot of other countries too, and we also have, it was rumored yesterday, bringing the market up too overall, but US and EU to close a 15% tariff deal. This is pretty good as well. And honestly, man, this can bring markets up overall. With that being said, we got, like, I guess rumors, like, it wasn't really set in stone yet yesterday, but it did bring the markets up a decent amount, bringing the SPY up to all-time highs, bringing a lot of other stocks up too as well, as you guys can see. One that I was paying attention to, of course, I'm going to be talking about this one a lot. This one is my favorite one right now to day trade, but Apple, man. Apple, we kind of see a new range in the Apple around that 212.5 to that 211, like 0.9 level, to that 212 level, honestly. 212 to that 212.5, all the way up to that 215 to that 215.5. So today I'm kind of hype. I want to see if we can break past that 215.5 and get to 216 and maybe make a new high on Apple overall. Not like an all-time high, of course, but just a high in this range that we've been in recently. With that all being said, man, if you guys do want to scope out some plays with Apple, I'm personally going to be looking at that high 211, and or if we start bouncing down, because yesterday we had a big dip situation. And with that being said, I did buy the dip, but I sold pretty early. I sold right here. I'm not even gonna lie. I was moving pretty slow, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get out for today. But with that being said, man, I'm very, very pumped to see where Apple can move, because Apple is still undervalued right now. Not really undervalued, but since that April dip, it fell down like 16%, and it's still down probably like 14 to 13% right now. So we still have some room to move to the upside. But I think a lot of people are waiting on maybe a new launch, a new phone, maybe see foldables, and then also definitely AI. A lot of people are kind of like unhappy with how Apple is like going about their AI. But if you really think about it, man, like if you look at phones with AI, like Samsung, just Android in general, basically, man, people still don't talk about Samsung stock that much. They talk about Apple stock and they talk about iPhones. People still buy iPhones to this day, and I don't think it's really I don't even think Apple is really, or AI is really needed on a phone when you could just download ChatGPT on it. But with that all being said, man, maybe their AI can be a little bit better, but honestly, man, I'm still looking at Apple to the upside, and I'm pretty bullish on it overall. But just slowly, slowly we might bounce into a certain range. And I just like the volatility that we have. You can scope out some decent plays, swing trades, day trades, whatever you guys want. And I have some Apple at like 200 on my long-term portfolio. So Apple is pretty good and is moving pretty decently. But one thing that I did notice is after hours, we did have a big push to the upside with NVIDIA. We did get some more AI things. I think Donald Trump made the exports a little bit more open as well. So it's helping out stocks like NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom. But we've seen all of these stocks boost up after hours. So I just want to see if we can continue to the upside for these ones, and or, maybe have another sell-off, because honestly, chip stocks haven't really been looking that good. But then we got, some good news overall. I think that Japan deal kind of helped us out, boost us up a little bit, and chip stocks just started going up even more. But just have your patience overall with chip stocks. First link in the description below, I have a bunch of courses to help you guys become more profitable. I have a long-term that gives you guys 40 free stocks to outperform the S&P 500, especially in this time. And I also have, how to read charts, basic beginner things for trading overall, and how to make money off of $0 on your computer. So go check out these courses with that code down below. You guys can get 50% off, and the courses are already relatively cheap. I can promise you'll make your money back within the first day of using all the knowledge that you guys learned, and has step-to-step guides too. So honestly, relatively easy to use. Now let's talk about Tesla and Google. So honestly, man, it was honestly at the beginning, it was pretty opposite. Like when the earnings came out, Tesla started going up and then Google started falling, as you guys could see. And then later on, we started seeing Google kind of make a comeback, make some new highs, get to that 197. I really want to see if Google can get to that $200 level. And now Tesla, we're falling a decent amount. So one level to watch for Tesla for today, if we do continue this like sell off, basically look at that $300 level. But let's get more in depth with the earnings overall. We're gonna be talking about Tesla first. We're just gonna put the pictures side by side, just so you guys can look at it too. But basically, didn't beat at all on anything, literally. But with that being said, man, Tesla's going down during after hours. Went up first, but then sold those gains and then started making some new lows, as I just showed you guys. But they missed on revenue, dropped the second time in a row, and it dropped 18%. EPS and revenue came downwards. The EPS came in 40 cents compared to 43, and the revenue was $22.5 billion versus 22.7. But honestly, the revenue wasn't too bad, honestly. But I mean, that still is a hefty amount of money. We're talking billions. But the earnings were not that good, and the delivery side wasn't that good neither. It had a double miss on profit and revenue. Main thing for Tesla is that the people are seeing the stock and company in a bad way right now. We did see a good upward trend in the short term after all that beef stopped, and this might stop this trend overall. If we zoom out just a little bit more, it's kind of like a timeline thing. So basically, man, you see Tesla go up, go down, go up, go down. But then, we got into politics and stuff like that. Him and Donald Trump was beefing, and then the beef kind of just stalled. They just never yapped ever again, and then it started going up again. Met some new highs, met that 360 beef once again. And then now we kind of just slowed down again. It stalled once again, and then the stock started going up. It goes up like slowly, but you can still make a decent amount of money. But now, since it's earnings, we might see it go back down to the lows, maybe even 300 to that 290. If we break below that 290, it's not really going to be looking too good. But overall, man, Tesla is still a good stock. You got robotaxi and stuff like that we're going to be talking about in a minute. But honestly, man, we might be able to see Tesla go down to that 300 to that 290. So keep that on your radar. Or we might just make a bounce up instantly back up to like 340 or something like that. But really just have your patience on this play. But Elon Musk is still on the grind, though. He did come back out saying that he's back on the grind, working 7 days a week and sleeping in the office. But is this enough to save Tesla? I personally see a future for Tesla, and it's still positive with autonomous driving and robots. But we do see a lot of things getting delayed, and other companies are kind of catching up or even far ahead of Tesla's own ideas, like, the autonomous driving and stuff like that. Autonomous driving was supposed to come out like a while ago, if you guys didn't know that. But so as long as Tesla does not fall behind, we can still see some good movement for the long term of Tesla, and it can make a good opportunity at these levels to load up on your long term overall dollar cost average. Because honestly, man, robots and everything like that, other companies, especially Jensen Huang, one of the biggest companies right now, he's saying that robots is the future, and especially robotaxi too. Like, he's into both of the companies, robotaxi and robotics. So if he can get an edge on it, maybe become the Apple of these items, just like he was for like EVs. You can see Tesla up overall. So honestly, man, I'm very, very pumped to see the future of Tesla, and I'm personally still loading up on my long term. But in the short term, man, look at it, look at a little bit of momentum to the downside for now, just because of the bad earnings and stuff like that. And just make sure that, Elon Musk doesn't get into no politics or anything like that. But now let's talk a little bit about Google, because Google, man, we're almost at that $200 range. And honestly, man, we're very, very close to all-time highs. But Google beat earnings. People were right to be bullish on this one overall. But their revenue, 7% year over year, and their EPS was up 14% year over year. Google said they expect their full year capital expenditures to be $85 billion, which is much higher than the $73.31 billion estimated, but they're set to spend $10 billion more. This is good and bad news because, maybe investors are like, oh, they're spending more money. But then with that being said, spending more money means that they're more confident in their business, and it can be a good payback like in the future, basically. Like if they spend it on AI or something like that, it can bring their numbers up overall and let them expand a little bit more. So it is good and bad news overall, but Google did start selling off because of this, but then people started realizing like it's not even that bad. But with that being said, man, like I said, I'm going to be watching that $200 level, past that $200 level, 202.5 to that 205 level. I remember seeing Google actually at that 200 level before all this tariff stuff and stuff like that. But with that being said, man, I'm going to be watching the 200, 202.5 that 205 level and that 210 to that 212.5 level for Google going to the upside. Hopefully we can break past this 200. We might even see a break past that 200 after market opens, but we just got to see. A lot of people are probably going to definitely take their profits, especially people that loaded up down here. So we might see a little bit of a dip, but then, you know, you never know, man. Let's just pay attention to Google today. This is one stock that I'm having on my radar. So let's talk more about earnings. So we did have IBM report earnings as well, Chipotle and T-Mobile. I believe T-Mobile and AT&T both beat. We're going to be talking about those in a second, and then IBM and Chipotle. But let's jump ahead a little bit for Thursday. Tomorrow we have, or today, sorry, today we have American Airlines. That's basically the only one before open. And then after close, I'm paying attention to Intel just because I want to see how Intel moves. I have this one in my long term as well. So if we get some good news with Intel, it probably can make a little bit of a boost upwards. It is still well priced. And honestly, man, in the future, we could probably see Intel at $50 to $100 maybe. But yeah, man, this is just one of those like long term plays that I have. So IBM, they beat their earnings, beat their the revenue and their earnings basically, but they did sell off a decent amount to that 267 level. But honestly, man, this could be a good time to load in for your long term, especially at these levels, especially if it starts selling off even more. Next level to watch is going to be that 264 to that 255 level. So watch those levels first, but you could probably potentially load up on your long term, and you might even see it rebound back up, but it moves pretty slow, but not really at the same time. You just got to have your patience with this one, but we did sell off for IBM's earnings. Next, we're going to talk about T-Mobile. T-Mobile, of course, beat earnings. Next level to watch is going to be that 250. If we can break past that 250, look at that 255 level next. But T-Mobile beat their earnings, and we've seen some good earnings with AT&T as well. So AT&T did beat, but they kind of moved a little bit differently. They sold off a decent amount, but then they kind of just regained the losses and then honestly just trading normally. But it is kind of going to the upside a little bit more. So you can watch, that $30 level if you want. Or no, sorry, that 27 or that $28 level. Watch that $28 level. And then honestly, man, maybe we can get a little boost to the upside. But AT&T is kind of moving a little bit more slower. But, it did beat earnings. So we've seen T-Mobile, AT&T, and the beginning one, which was Verizon, beat earnings as well. So it was pretty good earnings on these. So existing home sales did come in a little bit shorter, but today, man, we have a little bit bigger of data coming out. So we do have initial jobless claims an hour before market opens, and we got the PMI 15 minutes after market opens, and 30 minutes after market opens, we got new home sales. So keep this all on your radar today. This can potentially move the markets, especially the initial jobless claims. And tomorrow we have durable good orders and durable goods minus the transportation. So that might move markets as well, but that's tomorrow. So yeah. But with that being said, initial jobless claims and the PMI is going to be pretty big for today. So have that on your radar. So Walmart is betting big on AI super agents to boost their e-commerce growth. Honestly, man, this can bring Walmart stock up overall. We also have the baseline tariff lifting to 15% from that 10%, and it's going to be 15 to 50% range. So we've been seeing a lot of countries getting that 15% tariff, like EU, Japan, but they're not as bad. I think Japan was supposed to be 25. Now it's 15. I think EU was supposed to be 25 to 30, I think, or 35. I forgot, but now it's potentially going to be 15. So honestly, I'm very pumped to see how that goes. And we do have a meme stock rally right now. You see a lot of stocks going up. And honestly, man, keep this on your radar, but do not get FOMO, man. But we did see Open, Kohl's, Krispy Kreme, AMC, GameStop, and all of these all getting a little bit of a bid recently. And GoPro as well. They rose by more than 90%, which is kind of insane. But yeah, we have all of these getting some good volatility in it right now. But honestly, man, unless you were already in it in the past, I don't recommend trading these meme stocks. You can make quick money and stuff like that. And honestly, it can be pretty decent, but you can also get washed too. So if you do, just have money that you're willing to lose, like $200 or something like that. Don't put too much into it. Option plays are a little bit more safer because you actually know you could sell basically. I don't know. But yeah, man, just have your patience with meme stocks and don't overtrade. Especially don't overtrade. You can probably like trade a little bit, but don't overtrade these. But overall, the market is really like these trade news that we got overall and potentially continue this momentum tomorrow. And especially if we get a confirmed deal with the EU, just look at the market, man. We're upward trending overall. And honestly, I'm very pumped to see what highs we'll get to. Don't overthink. Honestly, just be willing to adjust, but don't trade against the market. That's how you can lose a lot of money, especially at these highs. You might be like, oh, there's no way it's going to get more higher. And then it goes higher and you have like a put option or something like that and you lose a lot of money. Just have your patience. Just try to buy it at a good range. Like for me, for Apple, I'm having my patience and I'm looking at good ranges to buy it at. So I'm not buying it at 215, and then now my contract has to be like 216 so I can break even the next day. Like I'm gonna wait until we get like a pullback on some of these stocks that I'm watching. Just watch multiple, like Nivda is one that I'm watching, but I'm kind of being a little bit more patient with it too. But with that all being said, man, just have your patience with these stocks overall. But let's get to some supports and resistance and some plays to watch. The first one on my radar is going to be AMD, and AMD to the upside, breaking some new highs in the short term. With that being said, I'm going to be watching that 162.5, 165, 167.5, and that 170 level if we can start breaking up even more. To the downside, I'm going to be looking at that 160 flat. Below that, I'm going to be looking at 158.5, 157.5, and then that 155 level to the downside for AMD if we do start shooting to the downside. Boeing, we do got some good news, and we might get some new planes. Maybe EU is going to buy some more planes or something like that. You know how the deals go. With that being said, we did have a big boost to the upside with this news from Japan. With that being said, though, have your patience with this one. But 235, 236.5, 238, and that 240 level for Boeing. To the downside, if we do start selling off, look at that 232.5, 230, and that 228.5. Have your patience, please. Next is going to be SPY. Go maybe look at that 635 level, 637.5 or 636.5 to that 637.5 and that 640 level. And downside is going to be that 630 level flat and then 628.5. I already gave you guys some better supports and resistance earlier, but that's what I'm watching. NVIDIA, man, I want to see if we can break some new highs once again. We're going to be looking at that 175, 176.5, 178, and that 180. To the downside, 171.5, 170, and 169. With that all being said, though, for some plays to scope out, I'm personally going to be watching that 169 to that 170 level, maybe for a call option if we do, sell off a decent amount. But I'm also going to be having a little bit of a patience with this one. I'm not really in a rush. I already made the money that I wanted to make this week. So we're going to be a little bit, safer with these plays. But I am going to be watching the lows and probably going to be watching that 167 to that 168 more or less. This level right around here for a call option if we do start falling down even more. But with that being said, if we do fall more than 166, we might be a little bit more bearish overall and start selling off just because of this little sell-off that we had recently. But basically, we just got some good news that boosted it. So honestly, man, I think chip stocks are a little bit slowing down. But with that being said, just have your patience. Next one is going to be Apple, one of my main trades. Some levels that I'm going to be watching with Apple to buy in is going to be that 212.5 to those high 211s. But if we do start selling off even more, which we potentially might make some new higher lows, we might be able to scope in a play at those at that low 211. But one play that I really, really, really want to get into again is going to be that 209.5 around that level. But this one is going to be patience and see how it moves. Maybe we can get some new highs of like that 216 to that 217. But I'm going to have a little bit more patience with Apple overall. Bitcoin, man, crypto just been sideways recently. Not even going to lie. Let's look at Ethereum. I haven't looked at Ethereum yet today. But Ethereum is kind of almost sideways, but kind of selling off a little bit. So we might see a new higher low printing today. But honestly, just have your patience with Ethereum. But if you guys do want to trade Ethereum, ETHA is an ETF that moves with Ethereum. You could buy some options with that. And for Bitcoin, I personally trade IBIT, another ETF that moves with Bitcoin. You can also trade MSTR and Coinbase as well. These ones are falling with Bitcoin, not really making any moves. So just have your patience with crypto in general. I don't think crypto is really that big. And we do have XRP falling a big amount as well. So honestly, man, there might be a good load-in time for XRP, but I think this market rally for crypto is kind of slowing. So you got to just wait until you get like a big boost to the upside. But you can probably get XRP at a good price. And honestly, man, this might be a one-time rally to that 3.6 for a while, or we might retest it very, very soon. So this one is just a patient play. With that all being said, though, man, smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new. I will see you guys in the next video. Comment down below any questions that you guys may have and or any tickers and money that you made so far this week. It is Thursday, so it's time to lock in those profits. Don't have no more losing trades. Just have your patience, man. Let's stay green this week. If you guys are green, if you guys are red, maybe try to get back some of those losses, unless it's big losses. Then if it's big losses, man, just try not to make those losses even bigger. And we always got next week, guys. Thank you for watching the video. Smash the like button. Let's get to 500 subs. That's all I'm asking. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.